8:45 a.m., Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, while headlines across the globe focused on the newest health developments surrounding King Charles, a much quieter but far more calculated operation was unfolding deep inside the West Wing of Windsor Castle. Prince William, carrying the calm authority of someone trained his entire life for one defining moment, sat behind a massive oak desk. Resting before him was a navy blue leather folder. Inside it sat the quarterly financial report for the Duchy of Cornwall, the billion-dollar private estate that finances the heir to the British throne. What happened over the next 10 minutes would later be remembered as the moment the protection surrounding the Parker Bowles family finally collapsed. William reached for his fountain pen, turned to the last page of the payroll audit, and stopped. His eyes fixed on one name, a name that had remained untouched on royal records for more than 20 years. Annabel Elliot. For 2 decades, Queen Camilla's younger sister had held a profitable and unquestioned position as the principal interior designer for the Duchy's enormous property network, stretching from the Isles of Scilly to Wales itself. Then, with one deliberate stroke of red ink, there was no hesitation, no discussion with his father, no advance notice for his stepmother. The paper was signed, the folder shut, and 2 decades of royal connections disappeared within seconds. By the time the public learned of the decision on the morning of May 10th, 2026, the damage was already beyond repair. Palace insiders are reportedly calling it the ruthless zero. The Duchy's annual report, audited by professionals at PricewaterhouseCoopers, now shows one brutal word beside the interior design allocation for the coming fiscal year. Nil, no severance package. No ceremonial farewell. No carefully managed transition. William didn't merely cancel a contract. He delivered a warning. The era of Camilla's inner circle benefiting from royal finances was, according to many inside the palace, officially finished. But before we reveal the disturbing details William allegedly uncovered inside those records, hit the like button if you believe the monarchy should face higher standards of transparency. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications because we are following every major development inside the palace as it happens. And tell us in the comments, was William justified? Or did he go too far? To understand how William was able to make such a bold move, you first need to understand the power structure he inherited in September 2022. Becoming Duke of Cornwall didn't simply hand him land. It handed him control over a private empire with its own financial system and payroll authority. For years, King Charles had reportedly allowed Annabel Elliot to build the estate for thousands of pounds tied to furniture, upholstery, and consultancy services. Financial records suggest that during the final years of Charles's management, she received more than £30,000 annually in declared fees, with additional amounts allegedly buried under discretionary expenditures. Sources present during the May 5th meeting described the atmosphere as icy and intensely professional. Witnesses claim William glanced up from the report, his expression completely unreadable, before addressing his principal secretary. According to insiders close to the prince, William never raised his voice or displayed anger. He simply tapped the page and quietly stated, "I told you I would deal with her. And the time has come. Make sure the termination is finalized by noon today. No press statement is necessary." If the Queen asks, inform her the Duke is optimizing for cost efficiency. That phrase, a cost efficiency, became the legal mechanism William reportedly used to block any emotional intervention from the king. Under the monarchy's newer vision of a slimmed-down institution, William possesses the authority to remove vendors considered non-essential. By categorizing Annabel's long-standing role as an unnecessary luxury, he effectively cornered Camilla politically. Challenging the move publicly would risk appearing as though she were defending favoritism during a national cost of living crisis. Yet insiders insist this was never truly about finances. Everyone inside that room understood the deeper meaning. The red line drawn through Annabel Elliot's name represented the opening strike in a reckoning decades in the making. William had reportedly uncovered old invoices dating back to the 1990s, years when Annabelle's Dorset home allegedly served as a discreet meeting place during Charles and Camilla's affair. He reviewed the dates on those documents and compared them to the same periods when Princess Diana was said to be isolated and struggling with her mental health. The power held by the Duke of Cornwall is nearly untouchable. Unlike the sovereign grant, which falls under parliamentary oversight, the duchy operates as William's personal territory. No parliamentary vote is required. No royal approval is necessary. All it takes is a signature. And as of this morning, May 10th, 2026, financial access connected to members of the Parker Bowles Circle has reportedly been frozen. The Ruthless Zero has officially been enforced, and the palace is now preparing for what insiders believe could be an explosive reaction from the Queen's private quarters. To fully grasp why the red line drawn through Annabelle Elliott's name landed like the fall of a guillotine, we need to move beyond the financial documents of 2026 and step into a shadowy file that stretches back more than 30 years. William wasn't simply dismissing a contractor. He was erasing a witness. Removing someone who, in his eyes, didn't just stand by while his mother's life collapsed, but helped ignite the fire itself. The trail begins in 1980 at Highgrove. Long before the world became captivated by the young lady Diana Spencer, a deeply calculated conversation allegedly took place behind closed doors. Sources connected to the Parker Bowles Circle claim Camilla didn't merely accept Charles marrying Diana. She encouraged it. To Camilla, Diana was inexperienced, impressionable, and easy to manage, the ideal public distraction that would allow the affair to continue unseen. Experts today might describe it as psychological manipulation on a grand scale. Diana was never meant to become an equal partner. She was positioned as protection, a shield behind which a hidden relationship could survive. By 1989, the deception had quietly shifted from palace corridors to a secluded home in Dorset, the residence of Annabelle Elliott. To the public, she was known as a successful interior designer, but intelligence transcripts and insider testimony allegedly paint a much darker picture. Her house reportedly became the primary safe location for Charles and Camilla's secret meetings. This was not a situation where a sister was accidentally caught between two sides. According to insiders, it was deliberate cooperation. One particular night in 1989 has reportedly stayed with William ever since. Staff members present at the time later described the atmosphere in chilling detail. Charles had arrived at the Dorset property furious and agitated after an explosive confrontation with Diana at Kensington Palace. Camilla struggled to calm him down. Then, Annabelle allegedly stepped forward. Witnesses claim she placed her hands on her sister's shoulders, looked directly at her, and said, "Diana doesn't even compare to you. Go calm him." In that moment, according to those accounts, the betrayal became complete. And more importantly, why hasn't William? As one of the most respected and relentlessly hardworking figures within the royal family, Princess Anne's approval carries enormous weight. By allowing Andrew Parker Bowles to appear at official engagements on her behalf, she effectively wrapped him in what palace insiders describe as a moral cloak. His presence suddenly became institutional, transforming him from a controversial figure of the past into a trusted extension of the monarchy itself. In many ways, it helps sanitize the image of the entire Parker Bowles circle. And that leads to step 3 of the strategy, the erasure of the adultery narrative. This was always the end goal. If Camilla's former husband could be seen smiling at royal ceremonies, standing beside her children, and loyally serving the crown, then the old "a wicked mistress" image slowly begins to fade away. The story is reframed no longer one of betrayal, but of complicated adults navigating difficult relationships with maturity and grace. But Prince William does not see maturity when he looks at this carefully staged narrative. He sees theater. He remembers the 1980s. The Polo Club parties in Cirencester, where Charles and Camilla were reportedly so openly affectionate in front of aristocratic guests that people in the room felt uncomfortable enough to avert their eyes. William remembers Andrew Parker Bowles being there as well, standing silently through it all. Within certain aristocratic circles, Andrew eventually became associated with a brutal nickname, the man who surrendered his wife to the prince. To William, Andrew's continued presence in royal life throughout 2026 is not evidence of forgiveness. It represents a lifelong arrangement. In exchange for silence and unwavering loyalty, Andrew allegedly received social access, military advancement, and lasting proximity to the throne itself. The Prince of Wales reportedly views this entire campaign for what it truly is, a defensive barrier designed to preserve Camilla's legitimacy once King Charles is no longer strong enough to shield her personally. But as of May 10th, cracks have begun forming in that barrier. William has allegedly come to believe that as long as figures like Andrew and Annabelle remain deeply embedded inside the institution, the unresolved ghosts surrounding Diana's suffering are still influencing the monarchy from behind the scenes. Then the situation escalated even further when the same carefully constructed moral shield appeared to turn against the one person William has sworn to defend above all else, Catherine, Princess of Wales. While public attention remained fixed on the aging brigadier standing inside St. George's Hall, insiders claim a much more dangerous power struggle was unfolding privately behind palace doors. According to sources close to Windsor, there had been growing attempts to subtly undermine Catherine's standing within the royal hierarchy, and once William recognized what was happening, the era of quiet tolerance reportedly came to an abrupt end. Now the issue is no longer whether the Parker Bowles family deserves forgiveness. The deeper question becoming whispered throughout palace circles is this: what hidden truths are still being protected to keep the entire public relations machine alive? If the public has learned anything about Prince William, it is that he possesses extraordinary discipline. He can absorb criticism, family trauma, and relentless media pressure without losing composure. But during a high-profile state visit to Windsor Castle in September 2025, Queen Camilla allegedly made one irreversible mistake. She crossed the single line William would never allow anyone to cross, disrespecting Catherine. The moment unfolded near the entrance of the state dining room and was captured clearly by international media cameras from CNN and the BBC. As members of the royal family prepared to welcome President Donald Trump and Melania Trump, Catherine was engaged in what appeared to be a warm and effortless diplomatic conversation, but the atmosphere reportedly changed the instant Camilla approached. In full view of the cameras, the Queen allegedly motioned sharply toward Catherine with a dismissive flick of her hand, the sort of gesture someone might use to brush aside an unwanted interruption. To viewers watching live around the world, it may have appeared insignificant, merely a brief flash of impatience. Yet within the rigid hierarchy of royal protocol, insiders say it carried enormous meaning. By publicly waving away the future queen, Camilla was not simply being curt. According to palace observers, she was attempting to reinforce a hierarchy William had already decided no longer held legitimacy. William's response did not come through anger or confrontation. It came through protocol, delivered with surgical precision. Shortly afterward, when William greeted Camilla, palace aides reportedly noticed the tension immediately. Under royal custom, the heir to the throne would normally acknowledge the queen with a subtle but respectful bow of the head. But William did not bow. Instead, he reportedly offered two quick, detached kisses on the cheeks, the kind of restrained greeting one might give a distant relative at a funeral, before moving on without making direct eye contact. Inside royal circles, the gesture landed like an earthquake. By withholding the expected bow, William was sending a message to everyone watching, courtiers, staff, and Camilla herself, that he no longer accepted her moral authority within the institution. Royal commentators later analyzed the footage frame by frame. Many noted the rigid tension in William's jaw, a look eerily similar to the expression he carried during the most painful moments of his childhood. The unspoken message was impossible to miss. Manage my father, if you must. But you will never humiliate. According to insiders, that evening in September 2025 became the true breaking point. It marked William's transformation from a son quietly enduring his stepmother's influence for the sake of family peace into a future king, actively preparing to dismantle her network of power. Sources inside Windsor claim that after the state visit concluded, William's office quietly launched a comprehensive audit into every royal privilege, contract, and financial arrangement connected to the Parker Bowles family. Camilla had spent more than 3 decades carefully playing the long game to secure her place on the throne. But in one brief moment of visible arrogance, she allegedly forgot a critical reality. William holds the future of the monarchy in his hands. According to palace insiders, public gesture toward Catherine triggered what staff privately call a William's protector mode. At that point, he was no longer functioning simply as the heir apparent. He had become the man preparing to inherit the sovereign grant itself, the very financial system that ultimately funds Camilla's royal lifestyle. Now, as audiences revisit the footage on this May 10th, 2026, the deeper meaning behind that Windsor encounter appears far clearer. William was not merely acting distant or cold. Insiders claim he was quietly calculating the gap between the present moment and a future in which Camilla would no longer possess the authority of the palace behind her. And if the legal documents signed on May 5th are any indication, the consequences of that single dismissive hand gesture may only be beginning. But according to sources close to the palace, the most startling development was not the protocol dispute itself. She may have secured her private residence, but she is steadily losing her family's visible place within the royal institution. Her wealth is moving quietly into the shadows because, according to those close to the palace, she senses that William's future monarchy no longer has a protected space for her. But while Camilla was allegedly occupied securing property, transfers in Wiltshire, William's team was reportedly reviewing an entirely different set of documents. Records tied to the enormous sums of royal funding used over the years to renovate and secure Ray Mill House under the justification of royal protection measures. And according to insiders, the conflict has now entered its most dangerous legal stage yet. Because investigators close to William believe they may have uncovered one final detail hidden deep inside the financial records. A detail that could potentially challenge the legality of Camilla's property transfer altogether. The atmosphere across London today, May 10th, 26, is described by insiders as tense and unusually quiet. As King Charles continues facing serious health concerns, the balance of power inside Buckingham Palace has already shifted dramatically. Prince William is no longer viewed merely as the next king in waiting. In practical terms, many now see him as the acting center of authority, the man already holding the keys to the monarchy's financial machinery. The period of silent observation appears to be ending. The period of reckoning has begun, and based on information emerging from the latest Duchy of Cornwall audits, combined with the strategic movements unfolding within royal legal circles, analysts now believe 3 highly probable scenarios could define the next stage of this royal conflict in the months ahead. This is the scenario map that palace insiders claim is keeping the Parker Bowles family awake at night. The first possibility, estimated at roughly a 20% probability, is what insiders are calling the final decree. In this outcome, Camilla allegedly uses the last remaining window of influence she has over King Charles to secure permanent protections for her family. Sources claim she is pushing for a binding royal warrant, essentially a golden parachute designed to guarantee lifelong financial security for the Parker Bowles circle, while shielding them from any future cuts imposed by Prince William. But this move carries enormous danger. If Charles were to approve such protections against William's wishes, it could ignite a constitutional crisis powerful enough to overshadow and damage the king's legacy during the closing chapter of his reign. The second scenario, carrying an estimated 30% probability, is known among palace courtiers as the cold peace. In this version, William and Camilla reportedly reach a purely strategic agreement. Camilla would retain the title of Queen Dowager and continue living comfortably with a limited royal allowance. But the deal would come with strict conditions. Every member of her extended circle, the Elliots, the Lopes family, and the Parker Bowles relatives, would be expected to step away from all royal associations permanently and vanish from public royal life altogether. It would not be reconciliation. It would be surrender with dignity. Yet according to insiders, the third scenario remains the most likely of all, standing at nearly a 50% probability. Inside palace circles, it is being referred to as the total purge. Over the last 4 years, William has reportedly been building a network of influence entirely independent from his father's inner circle. He holds overwhelming public support, deep institutional backing, and according to royal observers, loyalty from key branches of the British establishment that Camilla could never command herself. In this scenario, the moment William ascends the throne, the so-called Aline monarchy protocols are activated immediately. There are no compromises, no negotiations, no protected arrangements. Camilla is relocated permanently to Raymell House. Royal funding connected to her lifestyle is reduced to nothing, and the Parker Bowles' influence inside the House of Windsor is methodically removed from public royal operations. According to those close to William, he no longer sees Camilla as necessary to preserving the monarchy's stability. In fact, many believe he views the institution's future stability as impossible until the unresolved ghosts of 1989 have finally buried for good. If you believe William is making the right decision by putting his family and the future of the monarchy first, hit the like button right now. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on, because we are witnessing what could become the most dramatic transfer of royal power in over a century unfold in real time. And tell us in the comments, if you were standing in William's position, what would you do? We read every comment. But as evening falls over Windsor on this May 10th, 2026, an even darker shadow is now spreading across the Cornwall archives. William's investigators have reportedly uncovered a document that could change everything. The file allegedly points to a secret offshore trust based in the Cayman Islands, one connected directly to Annabelle Elliott's design company. But according to the newly uncovered records, the listed beneficiary is not Camilla. It is someone far closer to the center of the current royal administration. Someone nobody expected. So who was the money actually intended for? And what exactly was it designed to secure behind palace walls? Right now, investigators are reportedly tracing the financial trail in real time. Stay tuned to this channel because the next update may reveal the one name that insiders claim left Prince William completely stunned. The investigation is far from over.